Next on Worcester News Tonight, a local running group is speaking out about the need for drivers to be aware of runners. We'll tell you how they're keeping runners safe this time of year. Plus, how UMass Memorial is preparing for a mass casualty hazmat incident if one should ever happen. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Chandler Walsh. A warm fall day today, but we're expecting rain as the night goes on. Let's get a first look at our local forecast to see when we can expect the rain to begin.
Hey there, good evening. I'm meteorologist Pamela Gardner. Well, we've been talking about this storm for a few days now, and now it moves in tonight. We have a first alert overnight for the heavy rain and the gusty wind. The entire viewing area, all of Worcester County and all of New England, to be exact, too, being affected by the wind and the rain. Some street flood potential, also power outage potential, too, as we have 2 rounds of damaging wind gusts. For this evening, things go downhill, but it's after that evening drive home, so you'll be just fine to get home. And in the dinner hour, you'll notice the wind starts to get a little gusty and a few showers roll in. By 9:30, though, our exclusive in-house forecast model shows the heavy rain moving towards central Mass and moving through really around midnight to about 2 o'clock in the morning. There's also a rumble of thunder potential. And then the center of low pressure will move farther to the north and east and out of our area, but we have on the back edge a chance for cooler temps and a few showers, but a second round of damaging wind gust potential. 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts possible for Thursday. I'll show you more on the timing of that and your 10-day in just a few minutes.
A local running group says drivers and runners need to be aware of each other on the roads. The group has had several members hit or almost hit by a car and are urging their members to take necessary precautions. Our Gretchen LaRosa joins us live now with more. Gretchen.
Chandler, after several jogging-related incidents, one Central Mass running group says it's time to put their exercise on hold and address their safety.
Unfortunately, the danger is on the streets right now.
Stephen Genetasio is on a mission to make runners more visible on the roads. He's an avid runner and says runner safety needs to be addressed now more than ever.
The mornings are dark, the evenings are dark. So it's very important to have their wardrobe filled with stuff that make them visible in those dangerous hours.
Genetasio is a member of the Central Mass Striders, a local running group which holds runs every Thursday night. This week, they're skipping their run to discuss runner safety.
So they have to consider that driver and have to think about that driver as someone who's not seeing them. They have to be as visible as possible.
In August, a jogger was killed in a hit-and-run accident in Sutton. Vanessa Whalen is the manager at Sneakerama. She says wearing reflective or neon gear can save a runner's life.
Every single time you step down or you shake your foot, these will light up. So basically, every single step down the road, you're going to be a flashing light.
Whalen says runners have a responsibility to make themselves seen. And Genetasio says, while runners have to play their part, drivers need to do the same.
Please do not text and drive. It can wait. Share the road with a runner.
Now again, the runner safety meeting will be held here at the Greendale YMCA tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. The group urges anyone with any suggestions on how to make city streets safer to attend. In Worcester, Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester is one of more than 140 Massachusetts school districts receiving money to increase school safety technology. The Baker-Polito administration awarded the city's public schools $80,000 in grants. The money will be used to add security cameras and locked doors at schools. School Safety Director Rob Pizzella says he's grateful for the funding, but support for school safety should be ongoing.
I firmly believe that the last few years that elected officials, both on the federal and state level, have realized that for years school safety funding has been somewhat minimal. With what's going on in our country today with active shooter situations occurring somewhat regularly, that they have been able to allocate more funding for school safety. And so I think that in spite of what we have received, clearly we acknowledge and thank our elected officials providing that safety, funding for us, but we clearly could use more money in order to exacerbate the issue we're facing, which is keeping schools safe.
A total of $7.2 million was awarded statewide. Pizzella says the new safety devices and cameras will be in place by December of this year. The federal government will be reimbursing the state for cleanup costs from a massive snowstorm. Massachusetts is slated to receive more than $2 million from FEMA for snow removal costs incurred between March 13th and 14th of 2018. The snowstorm dropped nearly 22 inches of snow in Worcester. The state will later determine how much money each city and town will receive from the grant. FEMA's grant is funded through a public assistance program. It's just a drill, but hospital staff treat it like the real thing. UMass Memorial Medical Center prepared for a mass casualty hazmat situation today. The drill's director says drills like these give the hospital the tools they need if an incident were really to happen. UMass Memorial staff worked to remove hazardous material from patients. The hazmat tent is set up as a drill, and the victims are volunteers and inflatables.
We know that there's always a possibility, so we prepare and are ready if it should happen.
The medical center drill scenario is a hazardous material mass casualty incident. In this scenario, adults playing soccer in Barrie were exposed to a chemical from a low-flying plane.
They came in with some symptoms like burning of their skin, itching.
About 50 hospital staff are participating. Volunteer victims like Josh Manchester were decontaminated in the hazmat tent and brought into the hospital for treatment.
I had burns to my legs and I couldn't leave my dog because it was a therapy dog. And then they proceeded to take me into the tent. I was to stay with my dog, so they had to wash both of us down. We had to stay together.
The drill had added challenges like victims with a newborn or impaired vision. Manchester says like most drills, this one wasn't perfect, but everything went well.
If this ever happened in real life, I'd be glad to know that the people who are going to be taking care of me are ready and prepared for what's actually going to happen.
UMass Memorial runs mass casualty drills twice a year. Arising difficulties like tent setup will help them improve for the future.
The drills help us become familiar. We will never be experts at this because we don't do it often enough, but to see it, a lot of the pieces just stick in the back of your mind.
UMass Memorial says they've only had one real mass casualty incident in the last 10 years, and preparing with drills helps. EEE is still a concern in central Massachusetts, and as Halloween approaches, public health departments are warning residents. The threat of the mosquito-borne illness has caused towns to cancel nighttime activities. But in Westborough, Halloween will go on as scheduled, with recommendations for residents. Westborough's Board of Health says people should wear protective clothing, bug spray, and limit their activity after dark. Director of Public Health Stephen Bakari says although the weather is getting colder, EEE is still an issue.
Even though mosquitoes activity generally is less once temperatures get below 50, mosquitoes generally don't die until you have what they call a killing frost, which is, I believe, temperature has to be below 28 for 2 hours or below 32 for 3 hours.
Bakari says the recommendation will be posted on the town's website and a letter from schools will be sent home to parents. A WRTA bus went off the road early Wednesday morning in Worcester. The bus crashed into a ditch on Tacoma Street. Police say it dropped 12 feet and heavily damaged a fence. The bus driver was taken to the hospital as a precaution. There were no passengers on board at the time. The bus was towed away and the Worcester Fire Department responded over concerns of a possible gas leak from the bus. Leaders in the town of Auburn have voted to ban single-use plastic bags. Last night's vote places restrictions on when retailers can provide customers with plastic bags. There are exceptions, including allowing the use of plastic bags for items like frozen food, fresh meat and produce, and prescription medications. The ban passed on a majority vote. It will take effect in April of 2020. A new business in Worcester will be combining a bar with the nostalgic atmosphere of a 1990s arcade. Pixels and Pints is still being put together with the help of a few local artists. Our Cam Jandro joins us live now with more. Cam?
Chandler, the building on Grafton Street is currently being painted by artists who took part in Pow Wow Worcester. And if you're a fan of video games, the artwork is definitely right up your alley. The first portion of the walls inside were painted to replicate a game of Donkey Kong. Owner Jason Easty started Escape Games on Grove Street back in 2015, and after selling it, says he wanted to start a unique entertainment venue in Worcester. Pixels and Pints will have dozens of arcade games as well as old-fashioned consoles like Nintendo 64, while also providing food and drink options.
Having visited a bunch of different arcade bars, some that would charge you a cover to get in there, and I just wasn't a fan of that because I think that just makes it so the only people that want to come in there are just playing video games, whereas I want to create a space where people come whether they want to or not, just because it's a cool venue.
You know, arcade themed. We got the Donkey Kong, Mario, just kind of throwback stuff, so more of a classic arcade, you know, just images.
Work that's associated with 80s and 90s is like people are so intimately attached to those memories, and seeing it celebrated just will, in my opinion, will just elevate the whole atmosphere.
Easty says as of now there is no official date they're expecting to open the business, but it will be soon. His goal is to open the doors sometime in mid to late November. In the studio, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.